in Johannesburg this morning, just to preview what's going to likely to take place in court. Karen, very briefly, just tell us, how did we get here?
Well, essentially what happened is that Judge Thokozile Masipa last year granted the state the right to leave to appeal on this issue of whether or not there was a legal question in her culpable homicide conviction of Oscar Pistorius, that in fact she may have misapplied the law regarding dolus eventualis, or indirect intent, which they argued would have seen Oscar Pistorius convicted of murder on his own version of his shooting of eNCA. However, in a very now, which a lot of legal experts are saying, incredibly unusual move, Oscar Pistorius' lawyers have gone to court to essentially ask the judge to concede that she may have been wrong to grant that leave to appeal in the first place, that in fact the state was essentially, the state can only get leave to appeal on a legal issue, Dan, and that essentially the judge's finding that Oscar Pistorius was guilty of culpable homicide was on the facts and the evidence before her. So these are highly legal debates, but really this is about Oscar Pistorius' lawyers maybe exercising in their defense a great deal of caution about trying to even the playing fields when they go to the appeal court to make that argument. Of course, the state saying this is simply unnecessary, it's unprecedented, and a lot of legal experts agreeing with them.
Concerns that have made them to take this unusual step instead of waiting for the appeal process itself to begin, where they could argue the same thing.
Well, that's essentially the big point that I think they're going to have to address in court today. But the legal experts that I've spoken to, including Professor Toussaint from Wits, have put forward a proposition that maybe this is about just exercising extreme caution. This appeal is a very high stakes game for everyone involved, not least of all Oscar Pistorius. And remember, if the state is successful, suddenly he's not going to be going home after spending 10 months in prison where he becomes eligible for correctional supervision. He is looking at a 10-15-year sentence. So it may well be a scenario where someone like Barry Roux, who is a legal expert, who is well regarded within the legal community, is exercising extreme caution and trying to have a situation where he goes into the SCA knowing he can make those arguments. That, of course, is a more generous interpretation of what's happening here. A lot of legal experts saying that this is simply a very bizarre move for this legal team to have made. It's unnecessary, expensive, and they could have raised the 2 points that they're trying to raise in this leave to appeal as points in limine or legal technical points in the main appeal, and they simply can't understand why they didn't do that.
From dolus eventualis to points in limine, we learn a lot through this Oscar Pistorius trial in terms of the legal system. Karen, just very briefly, what time are proceedings starting? You said it's a highly legal case, and what's likely to take place in the morning? Is the judge going to hear all their arguments first and make a determination today, or this is likely to run for some time?
Well, we know that this hearing is getting heard an hour before court starts at 9 o'clock. We know that everyone involved in this wants it heard and dealt with as quickly as possible. So there may well be a scenario where she grants leave and then decides to give her reasons at a later date. This judge, however, as in the past, exercised a great deal of caution about making decisions on the same day. So she may well make that ruling on Monday, Dan.
Thank you very much. Karen, our colleague Karen Monde outside the court in Johannesburg, where this case is going to be heard. Well,